constructor. Constructor is the same as class name. Constructor name is same as class name. Same as class name. Same as class. What I'm using this constructor for? I can initialize my class values. Int A, or I can say integer A. Name I can say, okay, string name I can say, okay. Yeah, let us consider. So what I can do, I can initialize the values, and I'll say age is equal to 30, name is equal to John. Okay. So from this, what did we understand? We created a constructor. What is a constructor? Constructor is same as a class name, which is used to initialize the member variables of a class. Member variables of a class. Okay. Now how can I call this constructor? How do I call the method? Is another point. How do I call the static method? Is another point we saw. How do we call the static block? I saw. How do I call the instance block? I saw. How do I call a constructor? Is what we are going to see. Okay. So how do I call a constructor? Your constructor will be invoked on creation of an instance. So you are not calling explicitly once again. Okay. On creation of instance, automatically the constructor will be invoked. Oh, then no output. Let us go and see. This out age. I'll say age. What is the age value now? Inside the constructor. Okay. Right. So when the constructor got executed, whenever you create an instance, automatically constructor executed. Automatically constructor executed. No. See, now you are saying this is a constructor demo. Okay. So now what I'll do, I have created a employee. I don't want this setters and getters. Let us leave it. Okay. So now here I have 4 attributes. Employee. Okay. So now I'll create a constructor. Clear? System.out.println of, I'll say age. What is the age value here? What will be the age value here? Can you guess? What is the age value? Huh? What is the value of age? What will be the value of age? Tell me, Pa. What is that? You define it through a wrapper class. So what value it holds? What value? If I change this to int, what value it holds? Why? Clear? So this is one more question. What is that? Let us create one more question. So in age and salary. Okay. So we are in a constructor. We have 2 things. We have not initialized any values. Just we are trying to access. So why salary is null? Why int is age is 0? Int is a primitive data type. Age is a primitive data type. Whereas salary is a wrapper data type, wrapper class, using a wrapper class. So this is also very important concept you need to remember. Clear? So now we have created an employee. This one. What I can do here is I can send values to the constructor. What is that? I need to send a value. Send a value to the constructor. What is that? How I am going to send? I'll say employee of 10. What is that? Employee of 10. We will see. Employee of int age. Okay. Int A, I can say. Clear? Okay. Age is equal to A. Now I say clear? Why? This is a already existing name. That's why. What is the answer? Why? You only tell me how. 0. This is null. We understood. But 10 came. How? 10. So now whenever it is invoking a constructor, it is taking for a constructor with one parameter. Who is that? This fellow. So it got initialized. So can I have a constructor with 2 parameters? Yes. What is that? Constructor with 2 parameters. And no 2 constructor can be same. What is that? No 2 constructor can be same. So string will say string name. No. Let us keep different names, parameters, so that we can understand. So that we can understand. So now what I'm saying is, see here, ename I sent. I kept that name and I'm printing that. What is that? Name. So now you have created a constructor, but you have not invoked. We need to invoke, right? So if we invoke via object reference, say constructors only, it will invoke. So what is that? We say John. Okay. So now what happened? What happened? E1 is already defined, so that's the reason we'll do E2 again. So we'll say, oh my God, Java application. So now, what is happening here? We are invoking the constructor with the different parameters. Is that? So what do you mean by constructor? It is same as a class name. It is used to initialize the member variables of a class. Okay, it is used to initialize the member variables of a class. Constructor can have different parameters, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, anything it can be there. And constructor, okay, right. So constructor can be overloaded. Here, overloading. See, this is called constructor overloading. Same constructor name with the different parameters. What do you mean by overloading? What do you mean by overloading? You, as a student, you are listening here. Okay, you have some capacity to listen, and same you only. You can listen and write. So you have been writing and listening. So additional parameter. Same, you are listening and seeing. This is additional parameters. Like different parameters you are adding. Keep on adding. Right? Before start classing, you are waiting. Now, once the class started, what you have done? You are listening, writing, something you are like that. The parameters same person with different parameters. Same employee, same student only. What he is doing? He's listening, he's writing, he's watching. Correct. So same employee with different parameter. We call it as overloading. So we call this concept as constructor overloading. What is that? Constructor overloading. Are you clear? Any doubt we have here? Any doubt? Any doubt we have?
So we initial constructor separately.
What?
Constructor.
This is constructor. This is a constructor. Constructor is the same name as a class name. If you declare some other thing and you ask them to run at runtime while creating an object, it will not run. So when it can run, can you invoke the constructor other than the object instance creation? No. Can constructor be overloaded? Yes. With the different overload means different parameters. Different parameters. Clear?
So constructor will just have the name of the class.
That's it, name of the class. You can overload it via having a parameters, different parameters.
What will be the purpose that we will use?
You connect to a database. Whenever you write a program, initially, in order to connect to a database, you need to create a connection. That is by default. So connection object will be created.
As a
Constructor. Inside a constructor, I'll create a connection. I'll use that.
And here I can pass overload the constructor
with a different, like you connect to a different DB. You want different connections, 1 or 2 or more, n number of DBs at a time in a program, in a real time. So what happens? You will have a different constructor with different parameters. Same person, same class, you have different connection objects. Okay, different connection objects. So that in that case it may help. Clear? So real-time scenarios is what we need to sync up. It's not about learning the topic. We need to sync up the. Where we'll use, correct. So the real-time scenario is creating a database connection. Creating it, and real-time scenarios, you want to initialize with the default values. Let us consider. You are opening an account. What is your minimum balance? 500. You are opening a FD. What is your fixed deposit rate? 8.75. So 7.75. You are opening a Sukarna Samriddhi Yojana account. So for a girl child. So what is the default rate? This one. 8.75. So default, whatever the value is there, you want to apply to that. Constructor will take care. It's like, yeah. So that's what. So you can reuse it. You can overload it. That's what. Reuse it. That's it. Simple. It's kind of a template, but especially maximum cases where we use is to initialize the member variables of a class. What are the member variables? It can be a connection. It can be normal variables. It can be default values. It can be default price. Anything default you want to do, constructor will help. You can ask me, we can do all these things in static block also. Yes, we can. But static block is like only once to execute. So now, if you want to execute every time an object is created, every time an object is created. So who will do? Constructor. See now, you executed 3 instances of constructor, 3 times it will execute. You create a same object again with a different parameter. 11. What happens? Now again, you should print age and salary. Correct? After completing your Java name, you have created one more instance. Let us consider. You have created one more instance. Zero and null again came. So now, what is the difference between a static block and this? Static block only execute once and it's gone away. You want to recall this, you want to rerun again. That is not required here. That is not the thing I want. But what I want to do same action again and again. Same action again and again. Right? You say, go back to main menu. Go back to main menu. I want to display everything again. Go back to main menu. I want to display everything again. It's not like I will take out, I will sign out and again I will dip in. No. You want to keep on playing in. Yes. That may be switch case scenarios, but this is a real-time example, like why not static block, why constructor? Static block is like only once will execute. Whereas instance block and constructor will execute n number of times the instance is created. So this is also one of the interview questions they will ask you. So what is the difference between a static block and a constructor and an instance block? So both constructor and instance block, what happens? Repeatedly, but constructor can be overloaded, whereas instance block cannot be overloaded. Instance block, once you do the same repetitive action again, same thing will happen. But if I want to overload it, who will support me? Constructor.
So this constructor overloading also have the same structure.
Same structure, parameters will be different. Clear? So constructor is same as a class name, which is used to, once again we can recall, which is used to initialize the member variables. We can overload the constructor. So a constructor will invoke n number of times when you create an instance. How it is different from static block? Static block execute only once in a lifetime, whereas constructor will invoke as you create the instance, the constructor will be invoked. The static block cannot be overloaded, whereas constructor can be overloaded. Instance block cannot be overloaded. Static block cannot be overloaded, obviously. Instance block also cannot be overloaded, obviously. That's simple. Clear? Are you clear? Yes. Same should be there, but parameter addition. So can we apply so now we understood constructor.
Constructor has to be part of the same class.
Yeah. No, same class. Same class. So now you can keep the same class and create a constructor and call in another class. Okay, now
part of the package,
yeah. As a part of the package, you can create as a part of the package or out of the package also.
Okay.
You should have a public. So class should be a public one. Public one. If you created a private and protected, what is the meaning of that? Right. So now tomorrow you created a student like apply is there. Now you will create a demo department class. Department. So what we have done? We can create a constructor. Okay. So by default we can create constructor also. Okay. So we'll say string department name. So by default my department name is, I'll say department name is equal to star. Okay. I am not doing anything. I am just going into an employee class. Okay. I'm not doing anything. Just going and creating a instance of department. And in my department, after initializing, what I do, I'll print it just for our purpose to understand whether a value has initialized or not. Okay, for our purpose only we are writing system.out. Okay. So now what is done? So now what will be the answer after all employee objects executed? Our department object will be executed and it will print HR. Why? You created an instance. The moment you created an instance, by default it will check, is there any constructor? Yes, constructor is there. What it is doing? It is initializing the member variables of a department. Yes. So show me the value. It is showing the value. So like that, you can have, so by default to say, if you don't create or create a constructor, Java will create a by default no parameter constructor. No parameter. So by default it will create. So if you create, it will think, okay, you are giving additional work to it. though you create or don't create a constructor, Java will by default create with no parameter. Okay, with no parameter. Now you can also override it and create it. What happens? Clear, right? So now let us consider your department object you have not created. Okay, department object you have not created, but employee class, what happens? Extends whom? Department. It extended. So now will my how many times will be my department constructor executes? How many times?
4 times.
4 times.
I think so.
So best of 3. 4 times. Okay, 1 done. 4. 4 is the answer. 2 left. What is that? How many times? You tell. Yes. Yes, here. No. Here answer hello. 5. Okay, 5. 4, 5. 1 more. So last chance for both of you. Last chance. No, this is again 2 times. Why? See, because you have only parameterless constructor only twice.
Okay.
Whereas you have a with parameter, right?
Yes.
And
so that is overloading, which will overload.
Which will overload, and it will look for overloaded constructor. HR twice. Why? You are creating an object of parameterless constructor twice, and you have inherited. You have inherited. Clear? Are you clear? We'll reuse the concept of inheritance again and again. Every time it will come. Whenever you learn a new topic, we'll reuse. Is there for sure? That is the reason we have Java, right? We are reusing. Inheritance is nothing but a reusing. Are you clear now? Yes?
Yeah.
Clear? Super. So this is about our constructor.